Hello, everybody. Welcome to Education Recitation. We are going to start with the rundown by Neil Gershenfeld about the Fab Academy and Academany future, present and future. And then we have a great lineup. We have many presentations today, so we're going to be doing a bit of a rapid fire. So I give you, Neil.
Thanks, Luciana. And Luciana coordinates Fab Academy and Academany, which we'll explain. The running the program all ably revolves around her. So let me just briefly recap what we're doing. Center for Bits and Atoms at MIT got a lot of tools. We had a problem, how do you learn to use them? With colleagues started how to make almost anything, had this overwhelming response. It led to creating Fab Labs. Then we had bright, inventive people of all ages, in particular kids coming to the lab, learning skills way ahead of local educational opportunity in the labs and falling off a cliff. We tried to work with local schools and we kept running into dysfunction in the schools, or they wanted to talk about MIT, not their own backyard. And so we didn't start initially, but we found we needed to create our own educational infrastructure. Initially, we had remote labs sit in on the MIT how to make class. That got unbalanced when there were more people remote than local. That led to the Fab Academy. And without a lot of thought, we backed into a really interesting model that, in a way we didn't expect, drove a virtuous circle, so that the Fab Academy would train trainers, build a collaborating cohort, share best practices, update the network, and spawn many of the most important programs across the lab network. So early on, we made a couple decisions that have been important. One is a lot of education seems to be inexpensive, but hides a lot of spending that you can't see. We decided to expose rather than hide the cost to make it financially sustainable. And then there is no global accreditation. Accreditation is very local. You accredit a place, not a network. And the accreditors gave us really interesting advice, which is to make up an accreditation and let them catch up to us. So we made up a diploma that we award, but it's done with a lot of discipline. We carefully evaluate, assess, and document. And nobody ever really asked us what gave us the authority to do it, because it's justified by the content. And more recently, and you'll hear some of this, rather than trying to modify what we do to fit accreditation, what's been emerging are interesting overlays where traditional accreditation has now been recognizing our credential in the network. So the Fab Academy runs with what was at the time a fairly unique distributed educational model. There's central education where you go to a place. There's online where you look at a screen. The Fab Academy is students with peers, mentors, and machines in local work groups, and then we link them into global networks. And we consistently find it's really hard to do this by yourself in isolation. You really need to be in these local educational work groups, but then the local work groups aren't a critical mass. You need to link them in global networks. And again, the model we backed into was you do all of that with then global leaders, connecting them with video and content sharing and all the other tools. And so having that model of accessible knowledge in demand with global leaders in local work groups, we then realized that there are many other things you could use this infrastructure for. And so that led to a number of new classes you'll hear about today. And then at some point as this grew, there was a name, I think it came originally from former student Nadia Peak as a joke, the Academy of Almost Anything, or Academany for short, and that name is stuck. So Academany is the umbrella for these network programs. And so around these initial classes, it's been expanding in younger directions, it's been expanding in more advanced education, expanding towards other ways to divide it up for more formal and informal learning you'll hear about today. But connecting all of these is sharing rather than fragmenting this educational content across the network. So that's what Academany is. And now you'll hear a tour of both some of the more mature programs and some of the more, emerging programs. Thank you. And this will be rapid fire. We won't pause for questions. Put questions in the chat, and if there's a few minutes, we'll do Q&A at the end.
Okay. Let's see if this Fab Academy team ready?
Yes, hello everyone.
Hello.
Do you want me to share this, or you want to share the screen?
I can share.
Okay.
So Fab Academy is the second, let's say, running program of the Academany. And I will give you a small preview with the video. Yes.
Fab Academy is a transdisciplinary course at the intersection of textiles, digital fabrication, and biology. If you would imagine a dream program, how would it be? We are talking about understanding our environment, our context, and creating together. Join Fab Academy!
So it was in 2017 that with my colleague Cecilia Raspanti and my colleague, the plumber of the Fab Lab network, Fiore Basile, we decided to do this program that was a dream for us. We have been practicing different techniques, and we wanted to bring this textile artistic profile and expand, let's say, the Fab Lab network to textile and materials lab. So why Fab Academy? Because Fab Academy focuses on sustainability in the broader sense, support the research and revolution towards more sustainable practices. Of course, it's behind the Fab Lab network with all the infrastructure and the, let's say, open source knowledge and the alternatives to contribute. It is about hybrid learning that we all see, that we follow the fashion of the Academany. It's the international network. It brings novel career paths, and it is learning by doing. So we started with 14 locations, the brave ones, and we have been slowly expanding because also there is a process of adding some new machinery and infrastructure, but also the knowledge and the research that we bring for Fab Academy to the network. We have around 17 active nodes, and our node applications are open. What makes a great node is not about the machines, but it's about the people. We've seen people doing Fab Academy with very limited resources. It's about the interest in developing expertise in textiles, technologies, and sustainability. It's bringing inclusivity and gender balance and collaborative. It's making our spaces more collaborative. It has to do with personal interest and commitment. With the open source and collaborative mindset and the global collaboration and local engagement. So we have four, 4 topics of research agenda: the sustainability, the industry 4.0, wearable technology, and the innovation narrative. So sustainability, we talk about the future eco-pioneers, material designers for circular and sustainable textile and clothing field that bring together craftsmanship, knowledge, biodesign, biology, and chemistry. Very basics. It is about the industry 4.0, the additive manufacturing, parametric design, 3D modeling, open source hardware, and digital craftsmanship. The wearable technology, so bringing electronics closer to the body, constructing interactions and augmenting our senses. We have a lot of participants coming from costume design or performative arts backgrounds, and also building upon the values, and this is one of the most important parts of social innovation, alternative business models, open source culture, and circular symbiotic futures. So combining critical thinking and making towards visionary and inclusive solutions. And the program is in 3 phases. So from September to December, you have 13 weeks of skills capsules. Then from January to March, you have a personal project developments. And now in Barcelona, we have been piloting the 3rd phase, which is the textile incubator, which is another 3 months add upon the 6-month project, the 6-month program. So since time is up, I will stop sharing. And I will say that Fab Academy is a very nice program that is always evolving, and we always keep on learning, and we invite you to learn together with us.
Thank you, Fab Academy. Thank you, Anastasia and Cecilia. We are going to go to one of the early pioneers of the Academy programs, the Bio Academy. I don't know, Professor Church, you want to share your screen, or you want me to go somewhere?
David, do you want to?
Yeah, I've got some slides, George. If you want to give a quick opening remark, I can.
Yeah, while David's getting up the slides, I would say the 2 most interesting recent events were how we responded to COVID by creating a virtual laboratory, which services not just the students who couldn't get into the laboratory at the peak, but also 400 laboratories around the world, which can essentially do experiments without having equipment right at their fingertips. They were virtual fingertips spread all over the world. The second thing is Nature Biotech covered our course. So that's a major publication, Nature Biotech. And it's not every day that they mention a course. So that published some of the innovations that we had in terms of distance, remote access to laboratory science. And I'll let David take over.
So as George was saying, we've got a really rich history of this class. We started this class actually globally as a part of the Fab Academy, spent a number of years working in that context, brought the class back to MIT to really hone the curriculum. I'll quickly run through that, but it's a sort of a synthetic biology course across scales, again, very much inspired by how to make. One of the, again, we've got really incredible faculty from all around the world. The real kind of leaders in all of these different domains of synthetic biology all contribute to this course. As George mentioned, we've been teaching it at MIT and Harvard for the past number of years, but have really grown it so that we now have a cohort of global listeners that is participating in the course, able to execute curriculum locally, but again, with limited support from our team. We now have hundreds and hundreds of these students that are participating with us. So we're very much at that moment, I think, that Neil had described of it would similarly it happened in How to Make. So again, we're very excited to explore going back global again in the context of Academany. Briefly for the curriculum, you don't need to have any bio background. We start you from literally zero and teach you about DNA, proteins, central dogma of molecular biology, and then go through a whole kind of whirlwind course on DNA synthesis, principles and practices, reading and writing DNA. As George mentioned, lab automation, cloud bio, protein synthesis, bioproduction, measurement and imaging. We have a series of wildcard weeks now where we bring in innovators across a variety of fields from astrobiology, materials. We have a really strong class on cell-free systems, on using synthetic minimal cells, cell-free systems for education and textiles. This year, we added Jeff Boki to the lineup. So this really historic class, actually, Jeff George and John Glass, three major figures in genomics, had never been in the same room virtually or physically before. So we have them all together now. Manu and I teach a great class on frugal science and fluidics. Again, another wildcard class, a class on the microbiome. And then we also touch a little bit on biodesign as well. We've had Neri Oxman in the past, Suzanne Lee. And again, this all culminates in final projects, which is a paradigm you're all very familiar with. As George mentioned, one of the big innovations this past year was using low-cost robotics to enable students all around the world to access our curriculum and run their synthetic biology experiments, quote unquote, almost anywhere. As George mentioned, this is the Nature paper. You can check it out, Nature Biotech. We figured out which aspects of the course we could teach via robotics, which could be done with TAs assisting. And again, you can learn more about the robotic aspect of the course there. This is Al with one of our robots. And again, the projects are really exciting. If you go to htgaa.bio, you can see our current class and some of the projects there. And again, I think this very much maps to a lot of the larger history with how to make and what we're hoping to do in the future with all of you in the context of bringing this class back to the Academany. And again, just as a brief synopsis into some of the history, this is some of the images back when we were global and brought it back to MIT again for the past handful of years. And I've also connected it with your cousins over in the community biology world. So again, I organized an event called the Global Community Bio Summit, very much connected to the Fab Lab network and ethos. And so we've been really doing this work kind of collaboratively with all you in spirit. And then I'll close with this is George's stem cells being actuated under experimental conditions designed by our students remotely. So that's how to grow almost anything in BioAcademy. And we love to talk with you more about how to actualize this and really fold this back into the Academy. So thank you.
Thank you, David. Thank you, Professor Church. Every year we still receive requests for students wanting to join BioAcademy. So we are looking forward to have the distributed version soon, hopefully. Next in line is AgriAcademy. This program has been sort of in the oven for some time. And here to present is Luc Hanneuse. Do you want to share?
I'm going to share my screen, yes.
Okay.
Hello, everybody. I'm Luc Hanneuse from AgriLab in Beauvais. It's about 1 hour north of France. And we've been working in Fab Lab and agriculture for 5 years now. And so there has been a huge interest in agriculture. And so we want to, so it's still a work in progress. The AgriAcademy is not yet ready and it attracts a lot of attention. So feel free to contact us if you want to collaborate in this program. I set up some kind of thematics that I think are really important. So the goal is to understand agriculture in an ecosystem, to innovate with agriculture techniques or tools. So there is a big focus on different ecosystem subjects because you need them really to understand how to build stuff, how to operate in them. So there are some basics like the plant cycle, how it works, some kind of do we need to do agriculture always the same way in a conventional way, or can we explore different way? A huge part on the wildlife around, so it's also part of the ecosystem. And more, there are a lot of interest in the soil interaction, which is really important in agriculture. And of course, we want to have a lot of add-ons, hands-on, sorry for my English, hands-on exercise. And so you need also to learn how to improve your agricultural practice. So there are many ways to measure what you are doing. A really important subject is also economics and agriculture. It's really different in every place. And yes, of course, to grow a basil plant is really funny, but that's not how economics work really, and you cannot rely on it. A huge part on machinery. So there is also big machinery, small one, you can test many stuff. And there is more and more climate adaptation that should be looked into. So how to manipulate small weather. Also in city, it's more and more focused on self-loop ecosystem like aquaponic, hydroponics, but otherwise you can play with the full ecosystem. And agriculture is not only about food, it can be also about textile, how to transform the products you made. Related to Fab Academy, there are many subjects to electronics. It's not easy to work in real condition. And there's more and more precision farming, so it's to treat really selected place. And I know in the community, there are many fans of how to cook. So that's a great thing to do, or to preserve. So that's more or less the program. And if you want to know, we already did a part of many of those subjects, but on a really small scale. And so the idea would be to work really on an international scale, because climate is different everywhere. So it could be really interesting. So those are more, we can look also in the past. There were culture explore that are not anymore, but they are really useful. And so many connected stuff and traditional tooling. I think my time is almost over. No.
You have 1 minute left, Luc.
Okay. So, so to work in external as consequence. So it's really important to understand what you are doing, because it will be effects outside your small test. It's an example of a tool that's really work on a really small part of the soil, and so it doesn't destroy the rest of the soil. And that's one of the evolution that could happen. This tool exists, but here it's improved to work in different countries. So that's you can find part of the wiki, but those one are in French, and so that's also a difficult part for us to work really on the global scale. That's it for me.
Thank you, Luc. You said you run like a pilot, right? Or you're just running parts of it as a pilot, or do you have like a?
No, we are not yet ready, but and another subject is, of course, for this program, we need to find finance. And so I'm trying to find finance to run a small version in France to duplicate it and to put it on a global scale. But we are not yet ready.
Thank you very much, Luc. Now I would like to invite Duaa and Salman. I don't know which one of you who's going to start. They will be presenting. They will be presenting Fab Academy. Well, we have call it like STAR. It's sort of like a Fab Academy version in local languages and sort of adapted to specific circumstances. And one of which is Fab Academy Bahrain. And now Duaa and Salman are going to present. Do you want to share the screen, or you want me to go somewhere?
I'll go ahead and share. Thank you so much. Thank you. Okay. So hi, everyone. Good evening. I'm Duaa from Fab Bahrain, and I'm here, as Luciana mentioned, to present Fab Academy Star BH. So Fab Academy Star BH has been a pilot program, like with the blessing of the Fab Academy coordination team and in partnership with the Bahraini entity, the Bahrain National Labor Fund. So currently, we've been running this program for around 2 years. We've had around 8 batches so far and have reached, give or take, 70 students. So before talking about the what, let's talk about the why. We've ran the full Fab Academy program, like the 6-month version before, multiple times. we've had some observations, some of them being that the majority of our students that are coming in are full-time students or even employees, and only a small percentage of them are job seekers, people that have the time dedication to put for the full Fab Academy program. As a result of that, that led to a lot of continuing students. So of the students that did the full Fab Academy program, only a small, tiny percentage of them actually completed it within the 6-month period. But with the new shortened program, a 10-week program, we've had like a better percentage of students that actually did successfully complete the program. So what is the program? The program is essentially, we took the 20 weeks of the official like Fab Academy, and we've turned it into 2 separate modules. So the 2 separate modules cover different topics. We're running them actually exactly with the assessment requirements of the full Fab Academy. We've run one of those modules, and the second one we're hoping to run in the future. So each of them covers about half of the program in 10 weeks. So some things we've somewhat changed or that we've done differently in the program, we're actually evaluating the students instead of new eval, we're actually evaluating the students within GitLab issues. So all their evaluation happens there. One thing we've done also slightly differently, we've been giving the week's themes. So some themes would be like kids furniture, fridge magnets, things like that for our different fabrication weeks. And one of the things that we've implemented is like, actually my personal favorite is that we've made a student handbook that we give to the students. So this handbook basically contains important things to document, assessment requirements, even like suggestions for things to program, a space to kind of like sketch design ideas, scribble notes while working, that sort of stuff. The idea behind it is to foster independence. So like one more thing that we've done is that we've had like an exhibition. So we've invited stakeholders to come in and basically show them the students' projects that they've done during the program. So the program does include like a project section. So students have been working on creating like interesting projects through it. So with the 2-year period of this program, we've had multiple different offsprings of the program. So one of them being a program that we've done for vocational school teachers. So this was a Train the Trainers program done in collaboration with the local Ministry of Education, where a group of teachers were basically given tools to kind of like learn about digital fabrication, and taught how to use different digital fabrication tools, which also can, no problem, which also led to Fab in a Box, which is a mobile Fab Lab project with like local content in the local language. The idea behind it is that it's a local fabrication lab. It also led into some interesting research projects, and one of the students actually ended up starting her own business following the program. And lastly, there was another adaptation of the mobile Fab Lab program. This one is actually run by 2 graduates of the Fab Academy STAR. So those 2 students actually are taking this program further and kind of taking it into schools, basically, where they're teaching students different things with digital fabrication. That being said, all of that impact mentioned was only possible because of the ability to kind of like run the program Fab Academy STAR. We ended up with a higher community growth. We ended up with a higher number of alumni that were impacted by Fab Academy. We ended up with like more publicity, opportunities to like collaborate with different stakeholders. And we were able to, in turn, basically achieve more sustainability and independence as a Fab Lab. So the program, while it is just like a shortened version of Fab Academy, it has had like a huge impact on our Fab Lab. And we think this model is definitely something that is successful from what we've seen so far.
Thank you very much, Duaa. It looks amazing. And as you mentioned at the beginning, you already have around 70 students that graduated. That's a huge impact. A lot of best practices to learn from. Thank you. Now we're gonna jump into something that Jani is cooking in Fab Lab Oulu, something called Fab Academy Zero. Before we start Fab Academy, it seems we have something else coming. So I give you, Jani.
Oh, thank you. So Fab Academy Zero is something, as Luciana said, that you do before Fab Academy. So it's to prepare the students to Fab Academy. And we've had a lot of local versions, but now we are aiming to have a global version in order to boost the Fab Academy. So we would get people trying these things and interested in the program. For some reason, here we go. So just like Fab Academy originated from a university course, so does this Fab Academy Zero. It originates a university course called Principles of Digital Fabrication. And we aim to offer it next autumn to the whole network. The requirements for the nodes are pretty much the same as they are for Fab Academy nodes. And we will be able to provide 5 ECTS or a certificate saying equivalent to 5 ECTS, so European credit points, to the network, which is the first time ever we are able to do something like this. Duration is 8 weeks, and then plus 3 weeks for evaluation. So all the students need to be evaluated, or all the groups need to be evaluated in the university for us to be able to give the university credit points. It will be also evaluated in more detail, like graded from 0 to 5. It's not just a pass-fail, so it's fail and 5 other degrees. Lecturers are Assistant Professor Georgi Georgiev, Ivan Sanchez, many of you know, myself, and my lab manager Antti Mäntyniemi. It's a distributed model, just like Fab Academy, so all the nodes eligible for Fab Academy can also join to this program or use this program for their advantages. And the work is executed in the groups of 4. So we don't really teach all the subjects for all the students, but everyone gets to do something and see the other parts. And we also include a lecture in circular economy, so something new and timely. And I think this would be a nice target to many businesses, because it's basically a half-time commitment for 8 weeks, and it doesn't cost that much. I mean, being this short, it would be roughly, I'd say, 1,500, 2,000 euros / dollars. So it would be more doable for businesses also. And here is some examples of the project. So down left is a bear, that's an alarm clock. So there's LID behind the part, and it raises a paw and starts to beep, and you have to give a high five for it to stop and put the paw down, and a lot of stuff like that. I have more examples, like Star Wars inspired vehicle on the floor, trebuchet, head moving reindeer, etc. And so groups in local nodes will basically mostly try 3D printing, laser cutting, electronics programming, and then they would have to do the documenting, because in our evaluation, we use documentation and final presentation. So we use this platform called Moodle, and it's very easy to use. It has all the materials in it. It has schedule, it has tutoring times, it has learning materials, evaluation criteria, communication, and documentation. Even the students put the documentation there. So it's like really easy way to start this personal digital fabrication. I wanted to keep this short because there's also Nicholas wanting to say something about their version of the Fab Academy Zero, but there will be more information very soon, and hopefully this will boost the whole network.
Thank you, Jani. Nicholas?
So, yeah, Denis was supposed actually to present it because he is in charge. So Denis Terwine, that did the Fab Academy in 17. It's very similar to actually what Jani just presented. So the idea is a small Fab Academy version of the course, but integrated in ECTS into the courses, which is accessible for all the Faculty of Science. Actually, started in two different courses. One was Fab Zero Experiment, and the other one was Fab Zero Design for two different faculties. Now the course is a big course, accessible for all the Faculty of Science, also in engineering. Actually, we also have law students. So there was a big challenge to put it in the university, which is not always open to change. The course is given by Denis, but also by different mentors, by subject actually. So he gave some course, I do some. I think Quentin already gave at least one course. So that's not always the same professor, and that's an external jury that comes with different experts in different branches actually. Basically, it works the same way as Fab Academy. We try to keep it as multidisciplinary as we can. So the students are from very different faculties, and the system is cross-mentoring. So they help each other. Some are specialists in computing, so other physicists or chemists or engineers. And so there is a very cross-help system. It's accessible from the 3rd to the 5th year. So quite large. It's also quite preparing to Fab Academy for those who want to, but the target is more the PG student actually at ULB. Everything is shared through Git, exactly the same way as in Fab Academy, and it's very knowledge sharing oriented. Yeah, I think that's it for me. Denis should have presented because he's in charge, but yeah, May 1st is a holiday in Belgium, so I did.
Thank you very much anyways. Thank you for being here and give us a small intro. Now we are going to present Tom Dubick. He is part of the Charlotte Latin team and is doing an amazing job running Fab Academy for high school students, and it's been happening for so many years. And Tom, are you there? Do you want to share?
Yes, thank you, Luciana. Do you mind showing, and then that way I won't mess this up?
Yep, no problem.
All right, thank you. All right. Thank you very much for the introduction, Luciana. If you go to the next slide, please, would you say Charlotte Latin School? Wait a minute. What is going on there?
Just a sec.
Loading up here. Maybe I should have done it on mine. All right. Give it a second here.
Yeah, I have too many things going on this way.
Okay. Charlotte.
There you go.
Charlotte Latin is accredited independent. Sometimes people think Latin, they think we're a parochial school. About 1,500 students, K through 12th grade. We have a long history though of working with both public and private schools. If you go to the next slide. All right, there we go. And I bring this up. The only reason why I think I'm speaking today is really, or the reason I wanted to speak today was to try to encourage schools that do the Scopes program, do Fab Academy learning, that if they really want to take it to the next level, to consider doing Fab Academy and become a full-blown Fab Lab. We started before there was a term called STEAM. We were doing it basically back in 1989 with Lego Robotics. It's following what MIT was doing at the time. And any of these programs, the balance is academic rigor and engagement. In other words, it's easy to make it really engaging. It's really easy to make it academically rigorous. It's getting the best of both worlds is what I think you're trying to do. So, you know, we've been doing project-based, which again, just like Fab Academy, hands-on, minds-on engagement. We stress the engineering method right from the beginning, doing problem solving with an emphasis on ambiguity. And this is addressing maybe more of the high school teachers out there or other educators come on. Schools are really good about definite answers. There's one answer to the physics problem. There's one answer to the math problem. But in the real world, there's a lot of ambiguity, lots of solutions. Which is the best solution with the resources you have? We deal with that. We were also using digital portfolios. Again, that's what Fab Academy does, and that's what we stressed. And I would say to teachers that are thinking about doing Fab Academy, how you can evaluate, use digital portfolios. We had a heavy emphasis on robotics until about 2015. If you get the next slide, please. And then we joined a Fab Foundation through Dr. Fagan and Dr. Harris locally, who were both Fab Academy graduates, said you need to think about creating a Fab Lab. We were in the assumption that you had to do Fab Academy, so we did it. If you can take it to the next slide, please. Here's an old education statement. What's the best way to get someone to build you a boat? That is, teach them to love the sea. What we think Fab Academy does, if you go to the next slide, is it gives an outlet to our engineering students and our computer science students to channel this. And a very effective skills, they get to make something, and that happens throughout our whole high school program. It's not just the kids in Fab Academy, but a lot of what we've learned in Fab Academy, we have in our other engineering courses. So it's real important that in different engineering courses, they get an opportunity to make something they're interested in making, as long as they use the skills and the methods we're trying to teach them. I would also say for our people out there that say, well, you know, they've got, so for example, Fab Academy is 35 hours on top of the regular school week, which is a lot, which means you don't do sports, means you're really kind of committed to this in the spring. We start prepping them in the fall. But for the kids who are passionate about it, it's something we're looking for the kids that are on their weekends doing many of the same things. We just want to give them the skills to take it to that next step. Go to the next screen, please. I'm trying to make sure I stay under my 5 minutes. I would also say, and I put that everybody think about 125 years ago. If you lived in the United States 125 years ago, 150 years ago, there's a very good chance you were living in a rural environment. By age 18, you had a family, you were running a farm. You may have 1 or 2 children. If your farm didn't produce food, you starved. So 17 and 18-year-olds are used to being under a lot of responsibility at some points. And they are itching to take these skills and apply them somewhere. So right now, my students are working with assistive devices for the elderly, with folks just across the street. We're also working with Makers Making Change. We've got 114,000 face shields we help start producing with Charlotte Meddy, working with UNC Charlotte and the local maker community. I have a student right now designing and implementing escape room mechatronics. So he's now working in an escape room. He's building all the products and building the mechatronics inside the escape room. An escape room is a series of puzzles you have to solve to get to the next room. It uses a lot of mechatronics, a lot of RFID readers, frankly, and he helps set that up. Working with a local bioengineering firm to develop a custom continuity tester. I just got out of a meeting Friday, a presentation. What was exciting about that was our high school seniors were working on a project that this bioengineering firm had been using college students for the last several years, and nobody completed the project. Our students had. And that's a direct result of because of Fab Academy and training up the kids and training up my staff and training up me up. So this is a natural progression, I believe, with STEM education, is that we get this connection with business, let the kids work on real world problems. They're very interested in it. A recent survey said the reason women don't go into mechanical engineering, electrical engineering as much as their male counterparts is they weren't sure it was creative and they wasn't sure it was solving real world problems. That help addresses that. Can I get the next slide, please?
Thumbs up, Tom. So we just
okay. And last minute, you also can help support your school with fabrication services. Thanks.
Thank you, Tom. Okay. Let's see. Sherry, are you there? Now Sherry's going to introduce us a bit of the work that Fab Foundation is doing in K-12 education.
Okay. Can I share my screen?
Yeah.
Yeah. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everybody. I'm going to tell you a wee bit today about our K-12 educational outreach. And I just want to shout out to Tom. He makes it sound so easy, but as you'll see in this picture, I can't share yet until somebody stops sharing. As you'll see in this picture, you know, K-12 can be kind of messy, but many of us in the network have embraced K-12 education, and we're super excited about it. So
can you share now?
No, I can't.
That's strange.
So did you disconnect?
Luciana, you have to stop sharing.
Good. I am not. Okay, just a sec.
Anyway, Tom, you do make it sound so. You make it sound easy, and that like it's a breeze, and of course it's not, or at least not for most of us. Maybe we should replicate you for all over the world. So, anyway, this is a picture which you may recognize, the back of Nuria trying to teach a classroom of young kids, and you can see it's kind of. It's tough. It's not necessarily easy, but she does a great job, as many of you do. So the first project I wanted to talk about just briefly is our Scopes DF project. So this is scaling a community of practice for education STEM using digital fabrication. And Neil, I know you hate this title, and we're working on it, but at any rate, the work is going forward really well. This was originally funded in, I think, 2017 by GE, by the GE Foundation and by Chevron. It really is trying to bring best practices to the global community of teachers and educators in STEM education using digital fabrication. So there's a lot of updates going on. There are a lot of updates going on right now. One is that we have new sort of monthly incentives. So we're giving both cash and other kinds of prizes to people who create content, the best content that comes in the month. It's been through different API. It's been translated into 10 languages. The site has. We have monthly guides to relevant lessons. So during Women's Month, there were like 100 lessons not 100 lessons, but 100 people listed and lessons that you could pursue around women as leaders in STEM. We also have Fab Learning Academy, which we're starting to connect Fab Learning Academy, which you'll hear about in a minute. But Santi and Liz, White Wolf, and Yvonne and Chavi are putting together a pilot course, professional development course for teachers, and we're connecting it to the Scopes platform so that new lessons, new kinds of reflection, and a really active community of practice can be associated with the current Scopes site. And also we have really excellent collections. The best, of course, is coming from Studio 5/6 in Qatar, led by Ilaria LaManna, and she'll tell you more about their work, but just beautiful work happening right now. And we're planning, along with the University of Virginia, potentially creating academic publications for educators with the content that comes from Scopes DF. So very exciting things happening with Scopes. We have a new project with Caterpillar Foundation. It's a 2-year project. Again, it's aimed at high school teachers in 2 communities, Perth, Australia, and DeSoto, Texas. Both communities have demographics that are underserved, tremendously underserved, and so our goal is to give them kits and then give them professional development, give them kits of small sort of entry-level digital fabrication equipment and materials, and then entry-level support in learning how to use them, and then of course helping them create curriculum which will go on Scopes and be shared with the global community. We also have a project with Chevron with historically Black colleges and universities. There are 2 Fab labs that are just in process, one at Florida Agricultural and Mechanical University and one at Fort Valley State. And these, again, partially aimed internally at teaching their pre-service teachers how to use digital fabrication in the classroom to catalyze STEM learning. And the other part, of course, is to serve their own students, but it's really K-12 outreach. We've just finished a project with the Holistic Think Tank, a new Polish foundation that is aimed, its aspirations are around humanistic curriculum. And so we got our first opportunity to do an entire curriculum for grades 1 through 6, designing interdisciplinary humanistic curriculum for these primary school students with digital fabrication. We came up with capstone approaches for grade bands 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. We have
1 minute left, last.
Yeah, okay, it's all right. I'm almost there. Anyway, we came up with a framework with how to do this. We came out with a process. We also have assessment tools, Fab I Can statements, as well as assessment for the social and emotional learning and the transversal skills. So it's a very exciting project that we're going to take forward in this process. We'll talk about more in Bhutan for those of you who are going to be there. And we are just finishing up our STESA Egypt project. This is a USAID and 21st Century Partnership for STEM partnership. The project really started in 2011 during the Arab Spring, when we set up with Fab Lab Egypt's help 2 Fab Labs, one at 6th of October and one in Mahdi. And now what's happened is there are Fab Labs in all 23 STEM schools across Egypt. And what we're trying to do again is create the professional development and the capability of teachers and managers to do that work. And as you can see, Liz Whitewolf was there most recently training the trainers, so to speak. So what we've done is we've left behind, we hope, trainers who will continue the work, on their own. And so that's we're working with we're in discussion with 2 countries about transforming the education, 1 large school district, and we're collaborating with people at MIT and UVA to sort of bring new curriculum and new rigor, academic rigor to our work. And we're very, very excited to share all of this with you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Lass. Thank you very much. Now we are going to the newest of the Academany family, the Fab Academy the Fab Learning Academy. That's misspelled. Who's going to present? Santi, do you want to start? You share? Who shares?
I share. I don't know if my colleagues are here also. We were in a class actually at the same time that the recitation happened, so in our pilot, so we have to divide actually. But we are very happy to present Fab Learning Academy for now, that's the name. It's a huge effort that I think so we are kind of the representative, but I think so there's many people behind. So for now, I think so Cher mentioned it before, so Liz, Ivan, me, Xavi are the ones that more or less we take the lead. Also, of course, together with the Fab Foundation that is supporting everything. But our idea is that this, I think, so program could be from everybody at least. And I will try to resume a little bit what it is. So we understand Fab Learning Academy as a distributed educational model program that globally certifies educators to teach through basically digital fabrication and technology in educational ecosystems. Why do we think that is relevant? So there's like a lot of digital maker spaces in the schools. Every time there's more, and this need like it's there. So, but we need, let's say, comprehensive trainings in how these tools and this technology and the mindset around the labs, let's say, can be, let's say, incorporated in the classes and for creating like more significant learnings. And the trainings that nowadays, or most of the trainings that nowadays are, let's say, in different, let's say, countries are mostly focused in the in the techniques or in the technology, and not how can be, let's say, link it to the curriculum and or to the practices of the teachers. So the aim of the aim of the program basically tries to create the link between these three, let's say, main topics that you see here. So technology for one side, learning science for another one, and innovation practice. So why? The idea is to basically help educators to develop, let's say, the digital fluency also through maker methodologies. Why? To improve, let's say, new skills and competences to K-12 students. And I think so the approach is like focus on the educators and trainings, and they will be the ones that basically bring it down to their community. So some of the contents that we basically listed and we are working on are the ones that you see here. So from the technology side, it's not just like the tools, it's like how can we make more sustainable practices? How can we basically incorporate or teach this maker mindset to the educators and teachers that are related to technology, and also focusing on how do we learn. So cognitive strategies, how can we bring the socio-emotional aspects into the learning, especially with technologies. So, and also learn about the pedagogics behind them. We have like two of, let's say, the partners that we are now on the project. So it comes from very research, let's say, point of view. So we link all of these topics, let's say, through, let's say, research papers. So we wanted to basically always connect, let's say, scientific approach to hands-on and experiential. And also the idea for that is to create like some impact and meaningful impact for, let's say, students, teachers, but also understand that they are, let's say, communities, and at the end maybe we can transform, let's say, the school the school ecosystem. So why we don't have to also focus in how working with technology, let's say, in the curriculum can also improve, let's say, or transform the way that the schools, for example, relate, let's say, with environment. So these are more or less the main areas that we are trying to cover. So in terms of the structure, the program, like it's 6-month executive program, so divided in 4 modules. Each module is going to be 6 weeks, and we will follow kind of like same like idea of Fab Academy. So there's the weekly classes, and then everything is going to be tested in the interventions where the instructors or teachers will be basically incorporate these learnings into the class. There's 2 ways to be related with the program now, so as educational hub or learning notes. And just to say that we are super happy that we are piloting from April to June. We are having like a pilot with 22 educators. These are the faces of some of the people that is running now, or it's going through the program. So we have 7 notes right now. So almost over, I mean, a lot of countries in the world. So, and the idea of building the community, it's as Sherry mentioned it. So we are, for one side, working with Scopes DF as our main, let's say, repository for, let's say, reflections and how to incorporate it in the classes. So we are using a Discord channel for building this community, and also a GitLab for the repository of the classes. And just to say that we are waiting you in Bhutan. We will do a bootcamp to basically think in next steps for the first edition of the whole program in September. So if you are interested, if you're happy, if it resonates to you what I say, so just contact us or contact the FLA like fabfoundation.org.
Thank you, Santi. Thank you very much. And let's do the last presentation, and then we can go to questions. I see that you have one raised hand, Rico. I would like to introduce you to Ilaria LaManna. She's been working with the Fab Kids community for some time, and she's going to present now one of the ongoing projects.
Thank you, Luciana. Yes. Okay. Yes. So I will present Global Kids today, and this is a bit the timeline that from the last 10 years, some coming different country moving according of the Fab Labs, and actually, yes, I started 2009 in Barcelona, and with education now on 10 years. And nowadays I'm in Studio 5-6. I'm the education specialist from the last 4 years. It's a Fab Lab that it's established by the Ministry of Communication and Information Technologies here in Qatar, and we are targeting youth from 7 to 18. So during all this year, we had more than 900 workshops online and site, and we reached more or less 70,000 youth makers in Doha. And of course, our content are all published in Scopes DF, most of them. But this is my work every day. And you can see some also influence from the Academy I did in 2015, since I'm creating the content. Most focus also it's about technologies. And we are happy that we were the winners of last week in Scopes DF for the contest. But in parallel to Studio 5-6, I would like to introduce Global Kids. So we are doing one event a year that shares the knowledge of different cultures. So we started in 2019 with the Kids Day. Like, we are celebrating in each country, there is a Kids Day, that there is a tradition. And we are converting this tradition with the technologies that we have in the Fab Lab with a product. So we start 2019 in Japan. Then 2020 was with Africa, Ngoma. We celebrate the African Child Day. And this year we celebrate Thailand with Papau and Chula. And this is something that also that we are learning a lot from the other communities. So these are some of the traditional prototypes that we create. So the idea is that we have an ambassador of each country, and we select the country according to the network we are doing every year. So for example, these are the outcomes of 2019. So a lot of kids around the world knows what it's celebrating in Japan. They celebrate with a konobori, with this big fish. And no matter which technology you use, and no matter which are your tools you have, matters that you know what's a konobori and how to represent and how to celebrate the Kids' Day. Then 2020, it was a challenge, but was an amazing challenge because we were all online and we could create a drum, mask, and with Fab Lab Winam that was coordinating also with Ambassador Martin, a nice song, African song. So also other kids around the world learned how to sing and how to make a mask in African style. And this year, like we never had any contact with Thailand, so we knocked the door just looking in Fab Lab Maps.io, and we thought that they were not integrated in this network, so we contacted, and thanks to Rico also that connect with the other Thai Fab Lab, we came up with Papau and Chula, and we learned that they have this traditional kite that kids around the world create with the tools they had. So learning from the culture and translating a symbolic object of the dam tradition, it was something amazing from all of us. For example, this year also we had an interaction of how to say the word kite in different languages. And this for kids, like it's an open window on the word that they interact and say and learn. I don't know, pipa and papagayo, for example, in Brazil. And also we
Ila, 1 minute.
Oh, yes. So we try, according of the machine we have, different prototype. And sometimes we are open source with design. For example, this story in Kenya, they didn't have any laser cut to create this koinobori, so they create with the CNC just a stamp to put the koinobori on a t-shirt. So this means just to be open. And I want to just share a little bit this video that, for example, they could not assist with us online, but they just share what they did. And a Thai kite flying over the sky of Kenya was an amazing result for us. And then at the end, as I said, we teach them how to sing. So they were singing a Thailand song in a Fab Lab nowhere in Kenya. And this was the powerful of Global Kids. So yes, I have just one slide left that we are globally connected and we shared. And also we try to be inclusive in the communication. So we translate in different language what's about the Global Kids. And also trying to have a synergy with the local embassy. So it was very helpful, for example, the embassy in Japan to help and reach the community of Japanese kids in Argentina and also this year in Thailand. And also thanks to Fab Foundation to support some of the lab that don't have the material and want to participate with a small contribution just to buy the material thanks to Fab Foundation. This is the team that always change according of which will be the focus on the year. This year we had an amazing team of Thailand, and also first time we had the ambassador of Thailand of Fab Lab Siam come, involving his son Gon, that it's 15 years old, and was amazing too. So yes, this year in Global Kids, we had this Fab Lab participating, and thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Ilaria. That's amazing. Neil, I don't know if you want to wrap it up. I think we did pretty good considering the long list of people. We just are 5-6 minutes late.
I thought Nico had a question, didn't he?
No, it was an accidental hand raising.
A Zoom glitch. No, that was a wonderful tour. There's a few more things we didn't even get to. Barcelona has launched, you can think of it as how to design almost anything, a design masters. There's a few programs brewing for theses, the equivalent of masters and PhDs in the network are percolating things we didn't get to. But this was a great tour through the ferment of activity, and in particular about this linking of this shared body of content and people, and then all these different ways we can share it and propagate. So I love to see all the activity, all the experimentation. I think that the meta challenge across all these programs is we've touched many lives, but how do we now do it in order of magnitude, bigger scale, sort of the scaling growth for the next stage in our life. And that's a good lead in to the work in Bhutan. So thanks to all the programs, and a special thanks to Luciana, who coordinates and runs everything.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Bravo.